today is our last class. I hope you have learned some interesting things. For me, it's been very fun at different levels. So today's class is a combination of different things. The first thing that I want to say that I posted and many of you saw is that I wrote an article that a new orchid has been discovered in Colombia. And I thought that was pretty cool, not connected with the class, but I thought it was amazing. And actually it has the same, the name is being given, inspired by Leonardo DiCaprio's mother, that I guess was behind the funding of most of the conservation in that area. So I thought that was an interesting thing. So I love orchids, and I thought that was very cool. The other thing that I want to remind, because I'm sure you have not seen them, I know Jan has seen them, but many of you probably have not. But this is a series of videos that I uploaded on my YouTube channel. And this is David Brown, that was the person behind the grants at National Geographic, among other things, a reporter. So I interviewed him, and he answered some questions on how to find a good story, how to become a great storyteller, and many other things that I think you will really enjoy. So I'm gonna play one really quickly. They're very short. Normally they're 2-3 minutes. I think Jan already saw them. I don't know about the rest. But even though the execution is being done at home and he's self-recording himself with the phone, I think the words and the messages and the knowledge is there, and is what counts. So hopefully it's gonna work. If there's no sound, I'll give it another try. But it's gonna be very short. But this kind of stuff is what you will find. Maybe it will work, maybe not. All right. Whoop. Well, that was supposed to work, but maybe it just disappeared. I don't know where. No, I don't. Hold on one sec. I don't understand. I do not understand. Sorry about that. It's supposed to be there. Let's see if it starts. Yes, sorry about that.
Hi, I'm David Brown, and this is the second video in the series of telling stories. Now, last time we looked at how do you know you have a good story. Now I'm going to respond to the question, how do you find a good story? Well, like all good stories, all journalists, you must read. Read, especially in the topic that you cover, but read generally. And newspapers, magazines, books, novels, you name it, you must consume, you must be like a sponge. And you must travel. Travel opens your mind, it gives you different perspectives, it helps you correlate different things in the world. It will help you understand the very things that go on in your backyard, because you will have seen how other people have experienced the same kind of things and how they've adapted and what their stories are. And you develop contacts. If you have a beat, as they call it, say it's, I don't know, aviation industry or some other aspect of the travel industry, you create contacts. You phone the people, you take them to coffee, you just get to know them, and they're the best source of information because they tell you what's going on, what's new, what's different, what the problems are, what the new exciting developments are. And you'd be amazed. I played squash with some of my contacts as a young journalist, and very often we would sit in the sauna afterwards and just talk about things. And we used to joke with foreign diplomats and the press corps that I was in that sometimes we did our best work when we were sitting in the sauna, and all that was just talking and getting to know one another. And you have to listen. Storytelling really is also the art of listening and taking in the information, like I said, like a sponge. Listen, and listen critically. What is being said, but more importantly, very often is what's not being said here. What is being avoided, what is being spun. Like a photo, you can change reality by cropping it in a certain way, leaving out things that give context in the picture. It's the same with the story. What you leave out can completely change the overall storyline. So you need to be aware. Are people spinning? Are they leaving out things? So ask those questions. Be aware of that. And then I would say always wonder. If you lose your sense of wonder, you won't be a great storyteller. You just must always be enthusiastic and always in awe of the incredible things that happen. At National Geographic, we would hold a daily meeting.
Come on.
Lost sound.
We lost audio.
No more sound.
Lost the sound.
No sound. Yeah. Well,
No sound.
okay, sorry about that. So I'll send you the link so you can see it later, so we don't have to play the whole thing again. So
Thank you.
very interesting videos, and I highly recommend them. As I said, they're very short, but I try to edit content that I thought it would be very, very useful. So I added this to today's class because Hub asked a very interesting question the other day, and I didn't really answer. So I told her that basically by choosing the f-stop on portrait mode is how I basically play with the shutter speed, but I was not completely honest, or I didn't tell the whole story. So basically the way to do it, right, is using live mode. This is the reason that I ask you to use and take photographs using live mode, because normally people, they don't know how to do it properly. So for example, Susan, she sent me a lovely photograph of a flower, but I think she didn't understood the use of live mode as 99% of everybody out there. And that's why I added this, because I think it's gonna be very important. So normally we use live mode to do things like this, right? So if you look at the screen, this is what we do with live mode. That's you get a scene, yeah, and you repeat it with boomerang over and over and over. But that's not the reality, and that's what it's not for. That's for fun. But also live mode can be used for the following. If you want to read it, basically, it's a combination of a 3-second movie before and after. And you will ask yourself, like, why do I care about like a 3-second movie on a photograph that I'm just taking? Well, it's very simple. Because basically what you can do is the following. You can create these kind of things which are the equivalent to shooting with a slow shutter speed. I don't even remember where I shot this. I think it was Costa Rica, or well, I forgot honestly with this one, I just spaced out. But the way this photograph was taken was grabbing my iPhone, placing it very still on top of a rock, right? And choosing live mode. So this is the question that I didn't give you the other day. Basically, when you choose live mode, you're shooting 3 seconds of video that is going to allow you the possibility to take like a 1 second or 2 second exposure the same way you do with your camera. If that doesn't make any sense, let's look at this. This is another shot that I took with live mode. Basically, how does it work? Anything that is still, right, is going to be tag sharp. Anything that is in motion is going to be painting my photograph. The same way if I play my big camera on a tripod. What is the big mistake that we normally all do? We're holding the camera very unstable. That's why day one, remember, or day two, I said, this hold, and I was very methodic, saying over and over and over, because in order to use this method, you can do two things. Or you place your phone on a tripod or a rock or a tree, or you absolutely hold it tight and still, right? So this is another example. This is the Orion in Patagonia on my last expedition. And that's basically a slow motion of my Zodiac moving through the ice and the vessel behind. You will never know what is gonna be the final result because it's gonna change. This is another shot that I took from a Zodiac. This is handheld. There's no tripod, there's no mystery. This is just with the phone. And that's why I bring it up on today's class, because hopefully you're gonna stick it into your tools and you will use it. So that is the real use of live mode. Yes, you can do things like this, which is like a 3-second video of something, but I can turn that waterfall in like a painting, right? So how do I get the long exposure effect if you wanna write it down? Super simple. So I basically take a photograph, right? If you want to do it for a second, so it stays with all of you in your mind, I'll try to explain it. Have to look at my phone. So I open my phone. Remember, day 2 or day 3, we mentioned there were different ways of opening the phone. And normally on the upper corner, sometimes on the lower corner, depending on your phones, you're gonna find round circles like those ones there. Can you see them? Yes?
Yes.
Can everybody see? So when you press on that one, right, it tells you two things, live off or live on, live mode on. When it's on, there's a yellow label, a yellow tag. So what does that mean? Every time that I'm pressing the photograph, right, the phone is doing two things. It's taking a shot and it's doing a 3-second video, 1.5 seconds before, 1.5 seconds after. That's what is happening. So how do I see my live mode effect or my long shutter speed? Very simple. I take the photograph, I go to the images that I have taken. So I press the lower one, I choose the one that I've taken. Okay, can everybody see? You just open it, you choose whatever photograph. Well, actually that's the next book that I'm about to launch, so it's not connected with this. So once you have it, you're gonna swipe up, right? If everybody swipes up, it's gonna give you 4 different effects. And the one on the right-hand side is gonna read long exposure. So when you press on long exposure, the phone is gonna grab that information that is being created with that video that we thought it was to play around, and it's gonna turn it into a long exposure photograph, as Hub was asking me the other day. Yes, I cannot control for how long it's gonna be open. It's gonna be like a standard 3 sec, but it gives you the possibility to play around with live mode. That's when I asked you the exercise of doing it for today's class. That's what I was trying to know if you guys knew it. Normally people have no idea about this, so it's common that they don't know how to do it. Has everybody been able to find it? Hub, Patricia?
I know how to find live mode and I know how to take pictures with it, but when I get, so are you saying that then we set long exposure after we look at the photo that we've taken?
Yes, yes. Okay, Hub. So let me explain. Long day for me today. So you can ask me things as many times as you want. So once I have pressed the photograph and the photograph has been recorded on my phone, right?
Right.
There's a small square that I can press and that brings my photograph up, right? Let's say that photograph, right?
Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm on a photo that I took in live mode. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so now with your finger, you're gonna swipe up, and that's gonna open a screen that is gonna give you 4 different options that is similar to what you see on the screen. You're gonna see FX, so you're gonna find boomerang, bounce, and long exposure. So
mine didn't give me that. It gave me places that I could mark a GPS location on it.
Which phone do you have?
11.
Well, I have the same one. So, okay, so let's do everybody, we're gonna take a shot. So I want you to go into camera mode, right? Okay. I want this to be clear. You're gonna press live mode on, meaning that you're gonna have that yellow label on top.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
We're gonna take the photograph. Everybody has taken the photograph.
Yeah.
The photograph is automatically appearing in one corner. So I press that photograph.
Yeah.
Yes. And then I'm gonna swipe up that photograph and you should be getting effects like this.
I'm getting places and I'm getting GPS again. I don't get that.
I don't know why. I don't know why, Hub, because I do have the 11 too.
Well, where are you starting the swipe? Are you starting at the very, very bottom or?
Yes.
Nope, that doesn't do it. Swiping.
Okay, so that's very strange. So, okay, let me see if I can show it to you. So this is my screen, right? I choose live mode there, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take one shot.
Yeah.
The shot is coming up down here. That's my shot.
Yeah.
And then with my finger, I'm gonna move up.
Ah, you know why? Because yours is horizontal. Let's see if that'll make a difference. Okay.
But I did mine in portrait and it worked.
Yours came up in portrait?
Yeah, see, look, I don't know how, look, because it's got the GPS on the bottom, but it also has the...
Yes.
And mine is
so the other thing...
It has GPS on the bottom and, or what?
Mine is only the 8, I said, so mine is older. If you have the 11, this is much more advanced.
If you swipe from the picture up,
Yes.
from the picture.
Yes.
I'm getting
Yes.
GPS.
Okay. So.
All I got is GPS again. Places show nearby places.
Is
Okay.
it a horizontal picture?
It doesn't really matter. It really doesn't matter. It works either way, horizontal or vertical. What it can happen, and we can take a look at this later.
It can. It has to be in photo. It's not in any other. Is in photo mode, not portrait mode, or
it has to be in photo mode.
Okay, it's in photo mode. Okay. So take the picture.
Yes.
If the picture shows up in the lower left, I hit that.
Yes.
I swipe up on that.
Yes.
And I get show nearby places. I get GPS ratings.
In live mode, it needs to, if you do it from a picture that you've taken in live mode.
Yeah, I did.
And you swipe up, you bring up the picture and swipe up from the picture itself, not below it.
Yes. There, I got it.
Okay.
I don't know why, but okay, good.
Okay, Hab. So now if you scroll all the way and you choose the one that says long exposure,
got it.
Then it's gonna work. Dirk, I don't see you in camera right now. Do you get this?
Yeah, I finally managed to get it. You have the 4 options, which the last one is the long exposure.
Okay. I just want to make sure because
just a question. So, but why particularly you have to choose the picture in the photo mode? You can't do that once it's in photos. You have to do it in the photo mode.
That is correct. Okay, hold on 1 second. Well, no. Actually, I think you can do it either or, Dirk. But once you have the photograph, when you have it on your screen on the photo viewing program, you have to swipe up, and then you have to choose one of the 4 options. So the actual phone locks the kind of photograph. So if you choose bounce, you're not going to see long exposure. You just get the video. In order to get like the smooth feeling of motion, that has to really be with long exposure. Okay, so let's continue. I'm glad that I added this trick. I realized you didn't know it or you were not so aware. Yes, and I just want to add.
I hated those live pictures because I accidentally hit that button a lot of times, and then I had all these moving pictures instead of still pictures of people.
Me too. Yeah.
So I didn't know that at all.
I hated it.
It happens when you don't read the instructions of a phone.
Yeah, no, but I can tell you, not many people know this. Like people that don't use it at all. And the other thing that I point out, right, is that obviously, in order to work, you need motion. So if you're moving and not holding still, the photograph is going to be a mess because it's going to be, well, a mess, or it's going to be super artistic, but it's not going to be sharp. But if the phone is completely still, right, I'm going to give you an example, an artistic idea. If I'm photographing branches and trees and I'm holding everything still, and the wind is moving the branches, that motion is going to look like a painting. But the big, thick branches not moving, those are going to be still, right? So if I photograph Patricia running across, a room, the room is going to be sharp. She's going to look ghosty running around. Okay, so don't think that it doesn't work. You have to apply it properly, but at least now you know how to do it. The other thing, one quick question: do you guys need to finish on time, or can I be a little bit longer today?
Longer.
Longer?
No problem.
Okay, no, because I had quite a few things to share, and it's the last day, and I wanna. Okay. The other thing that I decided to include on this last class is a selection of phone applications, right? Phone apps, because there's so many applications out there and people start downloading them on their phone and they never do anything with them. So what I've done is I had created a selection of the ones that I think they can be really useful professionally. They cost nothing, some are free, that the others they cost like $1 or $2 or something, I don't even know. So I'm going to explain you why I like them. You can write the names, and then it's up to you to decide if they work for your shooting style or not. I have all of them. It's not that I use all of them at the same time, but as I said the other day, knowing information or having information doesn't mean that has to be applied all the time, right? You can have it in your phone, you'll find the perfect situation, and that's when you will use it. So the first phone application, of course, this one I'm sure you're familiar, is Adobe Lightroom. This is the same one as you have on your computer. And basically, it has it's very easy to use, very powerful tools. It has presets that you can apply on your photographs. And for somebody that likes to shoot buildings or architecture, it has perspective correction. So you can modify it in the same way you would do with a view camera. So, and it's interconnected with your application on your computer. So that's one that I would suggest that you download. I think that's a good one, a professional one. The other one is Retouch, okay? So this one, as a journalist, I should not be recommended because I don't really do this, but I know how to do it. So my obligation is to tell you that it can be done. So this application, let's say that I photograph Jan and she's standing next to a traffic light, right? It's as simple as grabbing my finger on the photograph and swiping up, and that traffic light is going to disappear. And
can we do that, people?
You have people too. Yes, absolutely.
No, I mean live people.
Oh.
Swipe them up. Yeah.
You mean those photo bombs? The photo bombs?
Yeah.
Yes, it's possible. But
photo bombs.
So it's very useful, right? You can use it like if you're trying to record reality, I would encourage you to start using this. I come from a journalist background, so I want my photographs to be reality, right? Like they should show reality. But if you're working on something artistic, or if you want to remove a branch, or you want to do something, go for it because it works quite well. The other one that you should write down that is very interesting too is called Afterlight, right? The interesting, of course, all of them, they can do many things. I'm just pointing out some of the stuff that I think will be useful for the average photographer. It allows me to do double exposure. So I'm sure you're familiar with this, what we used to do with film or slides. You photograph a person and suddenly the person is flying on the sky. You can do that with the application in a very simple manner. You photograph the grass, you photograph somebody's face, you overlap, and suddenly, boom, you have created a double exposure with all avoiding how hard it was in the past. And also it comes with filters that they've been designed or created by very known mobile photographers, people that they really use phones, so you can use their own filters. Okay, so these three I highly recommend. I mean, I don't recommend you get them, just explore them. As I said, they have trial versions for free, so if they work for you, use them. If they don't use them. There's another one that is interesting. It's called Mextures, right? So this one is kind of like a lab, right? So basically in the application, you have high quality textures and what they call formulas. So you can grab somebody's formulas and apply into your photograph. So let's say there's a photographer out there that is an expert photographing sunsets on tropical beaches, and you really like what they do. If they have a formula, you can grab their formula and you can put it into your shot, okay? This is more post-processing than photography, but I think it's fair for me to share that it's out there, and hopefully you won't go too crazy with them. Camera Plus, why do I like this one, or why do I think this is a good one for you to have? Because it gives me full manual exposure settings. It's a very powerful tool. So if you want to start playing around, as Hab was saying, with the shutter speed, like really defining that shutter speed, as he asked the other day, that's how you do it. You need an application because the tools that I gave you, they're an in-between. They work quite well, but you can get even more if you want. And then there's another one called Snapsheet. And this one is another version, another photo editor. It's very powerful. And I would suggest this one because it's extremely easy to use in order to edit your photographs. Again, I'm not endorsing any of these. I'm not suggesting, I'm just providing information, okay? Sorry about this. This is coming twice here in the presentation for some reason. So something that I want to remind regarding these applications is that, like everything that I said from the beginning, if you overdo it, it's going to look unnatural. And that's one of the biggest mistakes by beginners. The fact that you learn how to use the cloning stamp on Lightroom doesn't mean that you have to start cloning the universe, right? Basically, that tool, in theory, at least how I use it, if I have a dust stain in my sensor and it's on my sky in the middle of the shot, that's how I use it for. But I don't start like cleaning everything. What I suggested about eliminating a signal or a sign is very useful, but that's what I'm telling you. Be careful how you use it, because if you overdo it, a trained eye will see it, and then you will lose your photo edge. And as I said, don't get lost in the process. I wouldn't get all of them. I would explore them, maybe get them. If you feel that they match your shooting style and your interest, then keep them on your phone. I wouldn't keep 120 photo applications, because the reality, you're never going to use them. They take space and they're going to drive you crazy. Okay, but the ones that I gave you, they're pretty powerful, and they're very they have very good things in general. So the quote of the day, or I have two, is that your first 10,000 photographs are your worst. And the first time that I heard this quote is like, what? But it's true. And I think it's like everything in life, like the more and more and more you practice, you know, what you did before, it becomes part of the past, and then you become better at what you do. So if you wanna tell stories, if you wanna improve your portraits or anything that we have spoken about, you have to practice and practice and practice. And then when you look back, you'll see some of those photographs, you don't like them anymore, or you don't like them as much because yourself and your style and your knowledge has changed. So this was Cartier-Bresson that we spoke about him one day. And the other one that is also connected with time is that the best thing about a picture is that it never changes, even when people in it do. This is also connected with the idea that I gave you the other day of the life of a photograph and the impact on somebody's life. So this photograph, I mean, this quote was written or said by Andy Warhol, and I think it's also, yeah, it's also very, very true. Okay.
Somebody's typing or flacking away, we can hear.
Yes.
Thank you.
That was me for a sec, sorry.
Okay, thanks.
Yes. So, yes, so being this the last class, I changed and I added a new section very quickly. This is an article that I wrote a long time ago, and basically I chose 10 photographers and I asked them, what is your lesson? What lessons should I share with my students or with my classmates or with somebody that is trying to improve their photography? So you're going to see their photograph and what they told me. If you guys want to read it, because I cannot see it, I have it covered, but if maybe Susan, you want to read this one, if you can see it, please.
I have to move. It's covered up. Working in an ethical manner more than anything.
James
Okay.
James Estrin.
Yes, so he's the editor of the Lens blog from the New York Times. So that is what he wanted to share. Let's see the next one. Maybe Patricia, you want to read this one? I will have to exit my presentation in order to move it. So I know it, but I cannot fully read it. So. Oh, Patricia, I think you're in.
Sorry, yeah, I muted because the dogs. Okay. Every story has a teaching experience. Kathy Moran.
Okay, so Kathy Moran, I think is the chief director of photography at National Geographic right now. She was behind the nature images before, the nature editing. What about this one, Hub?
Humility.
Humility. Okay, this one is by, this is a Spanish photographer, right? This is, can you see the name or no name there?
Jose Benito Ruiz.
Yes, this is a Spanish photographer, extremely good. He works with the BBC and an amazing nature photographer and a very nice guy. What about this one, Jan? If you want to read this one.
Yes, hard work is more important than talent. The ability to generate ideas is more important than the eye. Bob Christ. I like Bob.
Yes, no, I like Bob too. Fantastic Nat Geo photographer that has transitioned between photographing stills all his life, and now in his elderly years, almost close to retiring, he now produces videos. And he has done the most amazing transition to produce extremely professional videos, all done with a tiny camera. And I have had long conversations with him, and I absolutely believe it. There's many people with talent and lots of things, but I think the hard work when it comes to photography, that's what it pays off, because we all make mistakes, and nobody knows everything when they start. And I keep on making mistakes, and I will keep on making mistakes the same way you did, and we will. So I think that's a very important quote, because when we start, we do make mistakes, and we have to go over and over and over to see if we can improve our own mistakes. What about this one, Dirk? If you want to read this one.
The most important tools are the mind and soul. Gerd Ludwig.
Yes, Gerd Ludwig is actually the National Geographic photographer that looked at my work and told me, if you relax your compositions and you don't try to do everything perfect, they will become better photographs. He's the one that did the story about Chernobyl. He went into the reactor, and actually, if I remember the story properly from the last time that I spoke with him, he went into the reactor to take a photo for the Nat Geo article, and he had to come back because he made a small mistake. So they gave him another 1.5 seconds to go back again and shoot again. But his quote, I think, is very true and very connected with life. What about this one, Susan?
Never stop looking, no matter where you are. Everywhere there are good photographs. Art Wolf.
Yes, and if you don't know Art Wolf, and I'm sure you do, but if not, you can write the name now. His background
I love that.
Yes, and he's from Seattle area. His background is design. Actually, for a while, I was in conversation with the assistant to see if we were going to be running a trip together in Colombia. It has not happened yet. Maybe one day I would love to. And in the past, he's a fantastic artist and a fantastic photographer, and a very true quote. Patricia, what about this one from Ami Vitale?
To learn that happiness is what brings success and not the other.
Okay, so I know this is not very connected with photography, but I asked them to give me a quote, and this is the one that was told to me. Something that I found in many successful photo professionals out there is that they love what they do, and it's not connected with the monetary aspect or the career aspect either. It's just we just love doing it, and I think people do it forever. And you may start doing it differently, but you always have that drive of telling stories and sharing with other people. I think that's part of us. What about this one, Hub? I don't really see this one, so.
Everyone has something to contribute. Elizabeth Christ.
Yes, so she was also an editor for National Geographic. She's married with Bob Christ's son, and an amazing photo editor too. So also keep that one in mind. It has started raining like crazy where I am right now. This is from a friend of mine, a Spanish photographer, Tino Soriano. Jan, you want to read this one?
We should not bring anything in life that presets ideas or stereotypes. And that's Tino Soriano.
Yes. And this is connected with the idea is that when we go on assignment, yes, there's certain ideas and preconceptions that we need to go out there and maybe try to photograph them. But as I said, it's better if you delete your mental record, your hard drive of those preconceptions, because many times when you're pursuing the story, you tend to be wrong, or the story that you think is going to be the story becomes something else. Okay. And then I think this is mine. So never stop dreaming. That's something that I always say, and I truly believe it, because if you lose the passion for whatever you're doing, storytelling or anything else, then it doesn't make sense anymore to me. This photograph was taken actually in the Darien region.
Panama. In Verá.
Yeah. Yes. In the Darien region, bordering with Colombia. This is a very remote community, pretty much that you can reach by ocean. But yes, it's Panama there. So let's look at some images. So I chose some of my photos really quickly just to take a look. This is a very old photograph that I took. This is actually a slide that I took when I was an intern at the Associated Press in 50 Rockefeller Plaza. So we're talking about when I was 23 years old. The reason that this photograph that has a connection with me, and I think it makes a good photograph, maybe it's me that I see it that way, is that you don't see the face of the subject, you just see the highlights on the gray hair. There's a door there, you see the profile, and it looks almost like a black and white photograph, but this is a full color slide that I photograph. I think is when you have like the long shadows in October in New York City. This is where this is near Rockefeller Plaza, and these are the protection things that they put in skyscrapers when they're building. And this is I think this was next to Ted Turner's AOL building. This was just across. So I like it because it's graphic, it's very mysterious, and it's one of the first photographs that I took that I fall in love with, and I still look back and I particularly like it. This one, an example of a very strong silhouette. That's my wife. This is a trip and an article that I did for Emirates in Dubai. Very simple. You can do this with the phone. You can do with the camera. What do you need? The right time of the day, very strong light on the background, backlit, and you have to be wise and choose the silhouette or the shape. It has to be the right one, right? And this is when it comes to play. If the person is wearing pants or a dress or a long clothing, and if the camel or the dromedary is looking to one side or the other, whatever is in the shot, really you get to see. So keep in mind that the geometric approach of the photograph is what matters. This is a photograph that I chose because when you initially look at it, it's an owl, but this was published in a book that I wrote many years ago called Habitats, that Jean-Michel Cousteau wrote the foreword. And I spoke about environmental dangers in different ecosystems. If you look carefully, there's a tiny pellet in the eye of the owl. So somebody had shot and the pellet got stuck there like a keychain. And that's stuck in my mind. And that's why when you're telling stories connected with nature, like Patricia was doing with the horseshoe crabs the other day, besides the big picture and the environmental setting, you need the small details to put things into context and to make stories come alive. This photograph was taken with the first digital camera that Nikon produced. So this is very low resolution, whatever it was, I don't even remember. But I brought it up because attention to detail. This photograph was taken a few minutes before I took the other shot that you saw of the silhouette, and I just wanted to show it to you So you understand that in the same setting, different things can be produced, and it's almost like a different world. The other one was supposed to be very graphic, to be used in an advertising because it's colorful, clean. And this one is more about, well, if you start hearing sounds, it's the thunderstorm. This one, it was meant to tell a story. So I'm writing on the animal too. I included the projection of my shadow into the sun, my wife, and the person. So it's a wider scene. This is when the iPhone becomes a fantastic tool with the super wide angle lens. That's something that you should do. This is a photograph that I took at the Monterey Bay Aquarium for another story that I did many years ago. If you look at a shark egg, right? Really, if you hold it and you photograph, you don't see anything. But as Patricia knows, and many of you know for sure, you bring a light and you put it behind it, suddenly it becomes alive with more dimension. So the same way we saw a video the other day of using these tricks like placing the keys or a light or whatever it's out there that you can use, this is an example of something that I did very quickly. They were showing me a tank with these shark eggs, and I said, well, this is fantastic, but can you actually hold it and put a light behind so I see what is inside? So that's up to you to think about or suggest whoever is your story so it's more lively and more interesting to look at. And I chose this one. I hope I don't have many more of my work because I want to move forward. But this was done in Hong Kong. This is a shark fin depot, like an illegal depot there. And the way that I photograph this image is that I play the damn tourist. So I walk in there like as I was completely lost, asking stupid questions that of course they didn't understand because they didn't understand the language in that part of the city. And I start grabbing things and looking at them, and they have become part of many stories that I have published in the past. It's been used as a stock photograph. It was photographed with a freeze eye lens, so super, super wide. And obviously, after a few minutes, they asked me to leave because they didn't want any photograph. But I had to act my role, so they didn't feel I was a photographer. I was just looking around and saying, what is this? I'm playing like dumb. Because otherwise, if I had been professionally shooting all the time, I would have lost like half second there before I was kicked off. So all these little tricks, I'm suggesting them so you put them into play when you need them. And I want you to see this work. I don't think I have shown it before. This is my most beloved work with classic ballerinas for more than 8 years. I just want to show you that work. And the whole thing started with an assignment in Panama. I was hired to photograph an advertising campaign for the National Ballet in Panama. And then it became a project of love that has continued for many years. It's a book in the making that one day I will do. So I just want to share to you because it's an example of a ongoing long-term project that I have chosen. Hopefully it's gonna work. Maybe not, maybe yes. Look. Yeah, technology, you have to love it. Hold on one sec. So that's one of my favorite projects that, as I said, one day I will put together into a book. So it all started with an idea, something that I had no relationship with in terms of the dance or the specialty of ballet, and then I fall in love with the process and the project. And that's something that I encourage you to do, to choose something that you're very passionate about and start shooting, because that's a great way to improve not only the project, but your own techniques, because you will start trying things in many different manners. So today I wanna learn. I mean, I wanna share the work of somebody that I don't know if you know. So far, I've been lucky that you didn't know many of the ones that I chose. And this time, I want to talk about somebody that is really shy, William Albert Allard, but he really influenced my upbringing as a photographer. Like, I met him later in time, but when I was developing as a photographer, I always admired his ability to capture those moments that they were really real and human. So you might have seen his work for his cowboy shots in National Geographic for many years. So let's look at some photographs. These are random shots, but I encourage that you write down the name and look for his work. Many of these images, they're slides, obviously, because they go back to, I don't even know how long back. And also an interesting thing when we look at work is sometimes we see things now that they may seem easy to achieve or we've seen now, but they were very new back in time because nobody was doing it, those kind of images or in such way. So he's a great storyteller. His portraits are absolutely fantastic. If you look for his books, they're just great. Very simple images, but very powerful at the same time. The one on the right, I absolutely love because it has the texture going over the face, and the one on the left, I love it too. So they're all really good. So this is a short video of Bill's thoughts.
No audio.
No audio.
No audio.
No idea.
Sorry. Okay, how do I share screen? Okay, so I have to do this again. Select sound. Okay. Let's see if it works now. I hope you enjoy these video selections all over this course. I wish we had more time because I think there's so wise words to be listened. But I think his work is gorgeous. Write it down, look for him because he's a master of photography and still alive. So just to finish some of your images or your assignments, we didn't have such a good turnaround this week, but that's completely fine. That's why I added all those different things. And so let's look at some things really quickly. So this is a photograph that Jan sent us, right? What I like, Jan, is that you understood on how to use depth of field with your photographs, which is fantastic. What I want to remind you is that the same thing that I remind, I think, Hub and Susan and pretty much all of you, is that even I ask for a particular thing in one of my assignments, and this applies for your picture taking in the future, that does not mean that you have to forget about all the other elements. So the fact that I'm asking for color doesn't mean you have to forget about composition. The fact that I ask for depth of field, you cannot, forget about, how to organize the shot. So I'm glad that you got this, and I saw some of the many photographs you've taken, but keep in mind that all these little things that I've been trying to tell all of you, they apply all the time. And that's when repetition plays a role, okay? Then we got the images from Hub. very interesting. The contracts, very beautiful photographs, very well put together. And I'm glad, Hab, that you're applying what we said. This is with
nothing. I'm dropping nothing.
No. Yeah, that's good. You know, I'm glad you didn't send me like a triangle or a square. No,
Yeah.
but this is a fantastic shot. And the next one is also very beautiful. You see, applying the depth of field that we were discussing.
I love that. I love learning that.
Yes, I'm glad to see that some of the things that they've been put in place. Hopefully, many months from now, you will still remember some of the ideas that I gave you. I hope I was not very tough on some of you with some of my comments, but it was a loving way to say, hey, I would do this way because I think it's better. So I'm glad that you saw us or you sent me both, because it's for us to choose, right? Which one is better? I don't know. It's for you to
side by side, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's for you to decide as a photographer or a storyteller, like, what do you want to say? It's about the eyes and the feathers in the head, or it's about the whole setting and the space. It's up to you. Just forget about those weird croppings and magic happens. And then slow motion. We didn't have time to talk about video. Slow motion can be used in many ways. This is slow motion that I did in Central Park a long time ago. Like, that makes me want to get out of this house where I am right now. But it was taken by my wife when my daughter was younger. So I'm just pointing it out that you can do slow motions about anything, right? It doesn't have to be professional. It can be for fun. It can be part of a project. You can do so many different things. And I always use all these, little tips that I've been telling you, and we always apply them in our narrations at home for the future, memories of my daughter, that she still behaves like that today and does crazy things. But, whatever you do, remember that you can use slow motion, that you can do many other things. Jan sent me a great slow motion, and I have a comment. This is what she said. Do you see? You saw that bird in action. Comment for Jan and for all of you. You have to come close to your subjects. Jan, this is when you bring your phone all the way to the feeder, you leave it over there, and you use the trigger, the Bluetooth trigger that you guys bought, and you place the phone with wide angle lens 5 centimeters from that feeder. And the first day won't work, but day 2, day 3, it will work, and then the footage will be stunning. It will be slow motion, plus you will bring me all the way into the subject, like the picture that Hab sent the other day, right? I did videos in, I think in Colombia, feeding hummingbirds on my hand. So with patience, you can eventually do it, okay? But remember, get close to your subjects.
I need to get some things to hang it with, because
well, yeah,
there's something to hang it with.
I know, but yes, I'm just suggesting bring us close to the action. But it was a very beautiful video. And then slow motion can be used in different ways.
I got him lying down and then.
Okay, Jan, you're breaking up, but yes. So slow motion and regular videos can be used. I use it for my personal presentations. So look an example of what you can do. I'm not saying this is fantastic, but it's just an idea. Regular motion combined with slow motion. So there's so many things you can do with your phone, and obviously we have time lapse that you do things like this, right? What is the secret? to make sure that you place the phone on a steady surface. If you notice that one was not in a steady surface, because you could see the movement, but the one that was sent by Hub was pretty cool, which is this one. Okay.
That was
So
kind of chirpy. I didn't see the comedy in this one. The comedy is in the actual one where you can see the kind of Charlie Chaplin steps.
well,
It snagged while it was being played. Try again.
all because it shows up very quickly.
Yeah, it's snagged on this one. But anyway, it was funny.
Yeah, so remember, you have all these tools that can be applied, and I'm going to reinforce the phone can be used not only for photographs, but also to record sounds, videos of your project, and you never know when you're going to be using them. So it has become a real tool, and I use everything at the same time, all the time. And I think this pretty much ends the class and the course.